You're listening to the Vitalmoments podcast. My name's David. It's Monday morning. I'm joined by Ron, my dad, and the lead pastor of Vitalpoint Church. How's your Monday morning going? I already know, so that's why I got to jump spot.
Is that a setup? You know what, dude? I woke up this morning and just wanted to stay in bed. I'm normally pretty disciplined. I get up between 5 and 5:30, and I just was like, yeah, it's a beautiful day, but I just don't know. I think what happens sometimes, and we were talking about being tired a few minutes ago before we hit record. It's the you get into this rhythm, right? Every 7 days, and now we're heading into it. I mean, we've already finished 2 series. In the church, Fear Less, and the prayer series, and now we're heading into Battle Strong from Ephesians 6, getting ready for that. And this one's going to be heavy, so for me, it's just like, I got to get in and study and write. And
you're lugging the mail. You're lugging the mail right now.
Yeah, lugging the mail. That's what you call it? That's what I'm doing.
You call it. Yeah. But it's good. It's been a great year so far. It really has. All communities are really enjoying what we've been talking about on Sundays. The newer people that are coming through the doors that are invited by friends have been like, whoa, this is something that I've needed in my life. Yeah. So I think really a few months in, we got to say way to go. Like Vitalpoint, it's been an awesome kickoff to the year.
To the community. It's been really extremely excited to see how the community has responded. It's like there's a real readiness, and there's a sense of leaning. Someone texted me yesterday afternoon and said during the talk in Poplar Hill, it felt like everybody was leaning in.
Yeah. So, well, you joked in our video sites to lean in, and then you said, "I know you're not leaning in yet to the screen." So I saw people actually joking around leaning into the screen with you, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
it was good. But yeah, we wrapped up a series of a month of prayer, and 4 really great conversations. And the last one you said was basically probably the firm foundation or the beginning for all of them. Yeah. And it was being with God.
Yeah.
And talking about the glory of God and having the veil removed from us so that we can actually be in community with God. And how'd you felt it landed for this weekend and wrapping up a series? Because someone said we should have started with that one, but it was really I liked how the series went, and it finished with this one.
Yeah, and we adopted the practicing the way John Mark Comer's approach to this.
Yep.
We wrote our own talks and stuff, but we just basically took the titles and the scriptures that they gave with each one. I think, David, I did really like the way we ended. I liked how maybe it would get some people who have not been around for a few weeks to go back and watch or listen or whatever, as well, which I think is important. But I really do. This practice, I was thinking about it this morning, just at home, and the practice of being with God is sitting still with Him, and that as we sit still with Him, our lives become intertwined with Him. Ever seen an older couple? They've probably been married 50, 60 years, sit in a restaurant. They can just be with each other and not have to talk.
Yeah.
They just, it's not that they don't want to talk, I don't think, but it looks like they're at ease in each other's presence.
Yeah. They're just so used to one another. They can pick up on the body language or the smile or the facial expression, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, there's beautiful unity.
Yeah. I even think about, your mom and I, when we drive somewhere and say we're going long distance or whatever, and we can just sit together in silence driving. And it's just good to be in each other's presence, right? You don't have to be talking all the time. I think this conversation being with God, we often interpret our faith disciplines as the things that form our faith, right?
Yeah.
And they do, right? We understand that. But the reality of the section that we looked at in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 was the importance of the glory of God, and what he talks about, moving, being transformed, the same as from one degree of glory to the next.
Yeah.
It's the ability to sit in the presence of God, to be with God in his glory, and his glory does the actual work of the transformation and the glory, and we move from glory to glory. So there's this increase, right?
Yeah.
That's what we talked about with Moses, is that, Moses would go and be with God, and as a friend is with a friend, and that the glory of God would shine upon him, and that he'd have to put a veil on and everything. But this practice is also extremely hard. Like this one won't come easy, because it won't feel like you're making any progression in it, because that's how we measure our culture measures success, by the needle moving down, or the ball's going down the court, or everything's going up and to the right. This is so countercultural, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had this great moment within the talk of like the word behold in 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Yeah. It's like this behold, and you took us to like whatever you hold close to the most, or hold like within your life that you value the most, shapes you the most, right?
Yeah, what you sit with the most, I think.
Sit with the most. Yeah. You talked about the news, you talked about phone, you talked about some other things, and
politics,
right? And it's really interesting as you open that can of worms a little bit more. I think what was happening for people was maybe little moments where they're like, oh, wow, like I'm spending a lot of time with this. This is starting to shape me, right? I'm over here a lot, not in God's word, or I'm not in a community of people of faith that are exploring and growing, right?
Yeah.
And I found that very interesting, that moment of the word behold.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a word we use a lot, right?
No, it's not.
It's that gaze upon. And I mean, you think about what happens with someone who is constantly scrolling through social media, right? And then all of a sudden, and this happens to me sometimes, you start seeing what other churches are doing, or what other people are doing, and then you start playing the comparison game, and then next thing you know, that whole thing is you behold, or you gaze upon the activity of other people, or other churches, or whatever, and then you play the comparison game, and the next thing you know, it diminishes the work that God's doing in your life, and you now are driven by making decisions in comparison to other people or other churches or whatever, and you're not following the Spirit's leading. And I mean, that's the idea of how quickly we're all being shaped by something.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why Jesus says, seek first the kingdom of heaven. Right. Seek first him.
So what happened yesterday for me, I'll get personal. I sensed that so I did some analyzation of my life.
Okay.
And how easy it is to slip into the task-oriented life, right? Like checklist, okay, I got to do this, all that kind of stuff. And I this morning, I felt like I needed to take this practice really seriously, to be with God. And start with being a child of God before anything.
Yeah.
And so today, like I started journaling and writing to God and allowing him to speak to me, sit in moments of silence, and just start being with him how he sees me as his child.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Instead of me being like, okay, God, I've got this coming up and all that kind of stuff. And what I want to do over this next little while is focus in on the things that he has me doing in my life, where I'm a child of God. I'm then a husband. Right. Then I'm a father. and then I'm a pastor, but I just want to be with him in those things so he can speak over me the way he sees me and he's designed me. And I'm really excited about this. Because that idea of, and the understanding of from going from one glory to the other, is just like, what would my life look like if I allow him to shape those areas?
Yeah.
Right. And I really felt like it was a thing that I needed to do. I needed to just be with God, set the timer, like you said, and just be with him in his presence instead of coming with the task or the journal that's filled with the things to do that he's hopefully going to be in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really opened my eyes, and I felt like my heart was actually beating at a different pace this morning.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah. And in all honesty, I actually had the image of the prodigal son as I was journaling. I believe God gave me that image of, it's not me running to him. It was actually the father running to the son.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was experiencing the warmth of an embrace of saying, you are with me. Enjoy my presence. And it was really interesting this morning. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, this example that you're giving is exactly what we want people to be doing, right? Because if you're not learning to be with God, then your prayer life is consumed with yourself.
Yeah,
and really, our prayer life should be consumed with Him, right? And that practice of being with Him is being consumed with His presence more than what we gain from Him.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that to me is. That to me is shifting an ancient practice into a modern, not a modern, but a current day need.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need it because anxiety and depression and certain levels of depression and discouragement and exhaustion and the practice of sitting with God is breaking free from those patterns of this world.
I think that is the key for people to understand is that the more you sit in the presence of him, the more you'll see the chain breaker and the way maker.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And the things of the world will no longer have the stronger pull. Right.
Yeah. They'll still be there.
100%.
They still will be there, but you'll have this, you'll grow into this ease in way of life of saying, okay, I don't have to control everything. Yes, it's going to be tough, but I can be with the one who can actually give me the ease and the peace of mind. Yep, the anxiety can still be there, the levels of depression or the things that you're working through in life, trauma, whatever it is, but you could have this sacred space of being with the one that calls you daughter or son and can speak right into the depths of your being. But it's got to take that time of just being with him.
Yeah.
And putting the list to the side. I want to be very intentional with these next two questions. Okay.
Yep.
We wrap up this month. We've had connect groups. They attended a prayer night. Some of them, we just went together to the prayer nights that we hosted. They've been discussing these conversations all throughout the month. What's your desire for the connect groups leading out of this month?
Yeah, I believe it's important for our connect groups to understand that there will be a richness in your group when you decide not to just to tag prayer at the end.
Ooh.
Right?
Oh, I love it. Oh, we got 5 minutes left. Any prayer requests?
Any prayer requests? We got to get going. What would it look like to discipline ourselves to sit in that space together in community? Because there will be incredible richness in the connect groups. I think connect groups too oftentimes fall for the trap of we got to get through all the questions, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that. And different leaders are wired differently, and they don't feel it's, a full connect group unless they answer all the questions. But there's a piece of me that would really love for our connect groups across all sites, all locations, that there would be a real richness of prayer.
Wow.
Within the context of the group. So
That's cool.
Don't tag it on to the end.
Don't tag it on. Leave room for the Spirit to work in the hearts of your whole group.
Yeah. Yeah, because David, just real quick about that, oftentimes we think, well, we can experience the presence of God working on Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
But what would it look like to experience a powerful move of God where he brings renewal, conviction, repentance, confession within the context through prayer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, outside of Connect Groups, what are you hoping for the church of Vitalpoint, the community that calls this place home?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, David, that's part of,
because you said something really clear in your message that when there's a move of God, he draws his people to pray before the move. And we had a woman in Exeter actually share that she had a vision the morning driving into church. She's on our prayer team.
Okay.
She had a vision that there was this dam and it was holding back the floodgates.
Okay.
Right. The waters. And all of a sudden it opened, but there was no chaos because we as a community were ready for the pouring out. And then you said something along the lines of like, before God moves, historically, he draws his people to prayer.
There's a stirring of prayer.
Yeah. I was just like, man, how cool is that that person had a vision like that? But there was no, because she talked about there was the unwavering faith of God's people. So what are you hoping for the community?
Well, I mean, we already have a weekly prayer gathering. We've been having that now for a long time on Zoom, 6:30 on Thursday mornings. I know not all of our sites have like what you have, like the prayer team, a specific prayer team that prays in the mornings, in the background of your site. I mean, I think that would be really wonderful if all sites are able to develop that. I would love to see, we're going to do another prayer event in March. Can't remember the date.
I believe it's the 20th, March 20th.
March 20th. I would love to see freshness and renewal of that. And we have our ministry plans all set till June. And maybe we'll have to take a look at the next ministry season, and say, is there something that God has unlocked in this gatherings of prayer? I mean, we did our first one. We had 175 people, 180
something
people.
Like that. It was like 180 something.
Yeah. I think maybe it's a little bit even around the individuals in the context of the church. And even though our faith is not designed to be individualistic, but it's just that longing and desire to be praying, to not just quickly run to our phones or run to our Netflix or our Prime shows, but to I'm going to actually spend some time praying tonight, or whatever, right? Yeah. I think that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, because as we've seen in all of our sites, there's this hunger that's rising up for a move of God, and I just, even you saying like, man, like what would it look like to not run to the show or to the iPad game or whatever it is that you kind of spend so much time with or desire, but just as, you know what, before I put my head on the pillow tonight, I'm just going to sit in his presence.
Yeah. I think there's a pattern that develops. It's even for me, and I mean, I didn't share much of my own journey of prayer in this particular series, but I've developed to a place where even the first thing that comes to my mind when I wake up in the night is prayer. Like I'm instantly, and that's not anything, oh, look at Ron, how great he is. No, it's more of just, it's been that discipline over and over and over again. And I would hope that for people in the context of our church, and I want to be careful because people are all different stages in our church of faith. Like there's people that are, not yet followers of Jesus, that they haven't had the veil removed yet. They've not turned to the Lord yet. And there's others of us that needed a spiritual kick in the butt, or, someone came up to me last week and they love the lackluster phrase, because their prayer life is lackluster. So anyway, we better wrap up.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you to everyone that made this month so incredible. the community, the team. Oh, it was incredible. And like Ron said, we do have a prayer call every Thursday morning at 6:30 a.m. till 7 o'clock. And we've got some people that just show up and they don't turn on their camera, they don't turn on their mic, and they're at work. Yeah, they're just sitting there listening. It's if you can make it, absolutely make it.
Find it through the website, right?
Yeah, website, vitalpointchurch.com. It'd be awesome to have you. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Leave a review, comment, subscribe. That's what everyone says on podcasts now. I love it. It's like the script. But yeah. Okay. Have an incredible day. See you later. And peace out.